of them. I've read and have been touched by all the stories in this book. The lengths that people have gone through to build their families amaze me. I hope their stories help you along in your journey to parenthood. Introduction by Charlie Condu, actor, writer, father, and activist. When I came out to my family, they were wonderful about it, and it wasn't an issue. There's one thing my mom said to me, though, that I'll always remember. I feel so sad for you because you always wanted to be a parent. To be honest, I had always wanted to be a dad, and it never crossed my mind that I wouldn't be able to have kids. I didn't know how I was going to start a family, but I assumed I would. I was raised in a liberal household and came out to my family when I was 18. It was the early 90s and a different time. I never saw examples of same-sex couples raising children together, and there were no gay parent role models to look up to on TV or in the media. Had I seen other gay men in loving relationships, building families together, it would have removed a lot of fear from my teenage years and made my path to self-acceptance smoother. My mother loved my sister and me ferociously and has always been supportive of us. After I came out to her, though, my perspective on family building changed. I could no longer assume that having children was something that would eventually happen when the right person came along. It would be a little more complicated than that. There was no clear path for me to follow. At the time, surrogacy was still in its infancy, not to mention extremely expensive, and gay men in the UK were still considered too deviant to adopt. I realized that same-sex couples had to plan more than most people, but it's hard to see how that could be considered a bad thing. My sister told me, "When something is this important to you, you'll find a way." She was right. When I was in my 30s, my friend Catherine and I had the insurance policy conversation that many gay men have with their female friends. If we're still single by the time we're 40, we should have kids together. Things were different with Catherine, though. This time, the conversation was more serious. We discovered that we had the same morals and ideals regarding child-rearing. I eventually met my husband in 2005. Over the next couple of years, the conversations about having children became more real. We discussed every aspect of what our three-way co-parenting relationship would look like, considering every worst-case scenario we could think of, and shared our plans with our families. Everyone was on board, and after 3 cycles of in vitro fertilization, IVF, we had our first positive pregnancy test. Even though Catherine's house was not far from ours, we all agreed it would be best if she moved in with us for the last bit of the pregnancy and stayed for the first 3 months after the baby arrived. It turns out that a third pair of hands made a huge difference when our daughter was finally born. We never had to worry about one of us not getting enough sleep because someone was always there to step in and help. We were able to take turns pacing up and down to comfort our colicky baby, and it always seemed that one of us had enough energy to do household chores like making dinner. We now have 2 children. One is 6 years old and the other is 3.5. As parents, we have our separate lives, and our children split the days of the week between households, but we also make the time to go on holidays, celebrate Christmas, and eat meals together as a family. Our arrangement might look unusual to some people, but for our family, it's wonderful because we're all so close. I think the reason our family situation works so well is that we're upfront and open about everything. We listen to each other and make sure that situations and scenarios work for everyone involved. For those of you wanting to start a family of your own, I think those things are key. Be clear on what you want to do and talk as much as possible. You can never have too many discussions. Talk about worst-case scenarios. What would you do if this happened? What would you do if that happened? Also, be open to change, because even though you may think you have thought of every scenario beforehand, chances are that when your child is eventually born, they will turn all your well-thought-out plans upside down anyway. Regardless of how you decide to expand your family, this book is a great resource to help you get started, and it provides valuable information to help you along the way. It's a fantastic read, and I wish it had been available when I began my journey. In my mind, it's the ultimate resource for any LGBT person wanting to be a parent, and I hope you enjoy it as much as I did. Good luck to you. I wish you the best as you begin your journey to parenthood and enter the next wonderful stage of your life. Preface.